Hello there, welcome to the channel, and welcome back perhaps, hopefully. We are going to be doing a quick little experiment with our pedal board, and as you can see, it's all set up now, blinking prettily, and we've tested all the channels, no noise, at least unwanted noise. No poor connections. So we are going to look at the list of things that we did in our last video, of things that we want to experiment with the pedal board so that we feel it's good and ready. And that is basically to do with buffers. So everything is going through our EFX mkII order switcher, and at the moment we have got things going through channel 7, which is our signal blender fuzz tone bank. Currently nothing switched on, but basically the question we want to answer is, does having a buffer before the fuzz when you're using an acoustic sound source rather than a guitar sound source, an electric guitar sound source, does that make a difference? And I believe that we can demonstrate that quite easily here. We have our usual sample of contrabass clarinet, our usual bank of contrabass clarinet samples here, and the way that we have the mkII set up is where we can turn off and on the input buffer, so the buffer that is added to anything going into the device. So that's this switch here. You may be able to see the light going on and off as we go through, and what I'm going to do first is give you a taste of our sample that we're currently using. Sentry off. Let's cut down on noise. I'm sorry, to let the noise go through. This is our full range of the contrabass clarinet. That's the sub bass range. Okay, now we're going to add in the fuzz page mark 2. Glorious as ever. Okay, so as you can hear, the fuzz page mark 2 is in full form there. It's worth noting we haven't really had much chance to think about gain staging at this current point in time. So there's the volume switch, the volume knob on the pedal itself. There's the volume on the signal blender, and these are all things that we want to work with and get the ideal situation possible. So let's have a listen now though as to if and how things change when there is a buffer added in before the fuzz. So So, I mean, maybe your ears can hear something that mine can't, but I am not hearing that input buffer making a heck of a lot of difference there. If we switch the sample to the lowest note on the instrument, here is the sample itself. Now with the fuzz. Yeah, I really am not hearing that making a heck of a lot of difference. So maybe it's the kind of fuzz, perhaps. So let's go to the what's it called? Goat's head. And back to our original sample. Here is with no buffer, the original full range sample of the instrument. I love this tone so much too. With the buffer. There we go. So that's that. I think that's another good bit of experimenting there. One more thing though, and what that one thing is exiting here, and we have one more fuzz setup for your consideration, as they say. And what we're going to do is turn off the signal blender and turn on the Superego Plus, which has in its effects loop the Fender blender. So, and once again we've got the dry signal completely cut out of the Superego there. We do have some dry signal blended in here, but we're going to leave that for now. So, here is, if we return to our previous place of being able to turn on and off the buffer, the the UI of the EFX mkII is like, it's not obvious at first, but like it's kind of fun to interact with. It seems to have a bit of personality. This is something that I've noticed before, but yeah, we are enjoying getting to know the EFX mkII better again, and better still in some cases, for example, playing around with these buffers. So, here is our full range of the contrabass clarinet. Oh, excuse us. Full range of the contrabass clarinet sample through the Fender blender. but without any buffer. Still a lovely tone, huh? Though we do prefer what we get from the goat's head. Okay, here we go. Okay. Excuse us, now we're going to turn off the expand. Dark. Live. Okay, here we go. One more time in the low. Yeah, you know what? We are going to, as definitive proof, run things through the lowest note onto the contra again, just to be absolutely certain. So here we are with the expand on, and we will be turning the buffer on and off again. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not hearing it. Yeah, there we go. Quite honestly, and let's exit there and mute the whole thing. Basically, I think that counts as pretty solid evidence that we are okay with having a buffer before fuzz when it's a clarinet signal, or like an acoustic signal going through a microphone. One thing it's worth noticing, we didn't have any of the float stuff that we've got set up going on, so all of the attack that we were getting there was the tonguing attack that we've aimed to curb somewhat in the past. But I wasn't hearing any difference with that either. So yeah, I think that's, having tried it with 3 different fuzzes and various different samples, yeah, I would be surprised if anybody could hear a particularly big difference there. You know, not usually something I say, but if you can hear a difference, leave something down in the comments. because I am not hearing something. I personally put this down to being the same reason that fuzz was the most effective form of distortion for the contrabass clarinet, and for the horns in general. I'm inclined to believe. So, like, our basic hypothesis for this is that when you have a guitar signal, an electric guitar signal going into a pedal, it is much more like a sine wave than you would get from an acoustic instrument, especially something like a clarinet, saxophone, maybe even trumpet, where the sound is produced by a very organic vibration with lots of variation. I mean, especially in the with the expand off there on the Shields blender, I was hearing a lot of variation in simply the clarinet tone, especially in that low register. Like, it's an inherently unpredictable thing in a way that a guitar signal, an electric guitar signal, is not. So when I tried using overdrives and distortion pedals, I was almost just getting a boost, because what is distortion to a guitar signal? I'm going to stop saying electric guitar because you've got the context here. In comparison to a guitar signal, it's already distorted. An overdrive doesn't overdrive, like, it doesn't overdrive anything in particular in the way that it would for a guitar signal. But fuzz itself is essentially a broken circuit that has been harnessed for the beautiful effect that it is. And so it's taking an uneven, imperfect sound and distorting it further. Thus why we get the unique effect that we do with the clarinet going through the fuzz pedals. And of course it would do that to a guitar signal too, but it seems to be one of the few things that will create that distorted effect. There is, however, also a lot more inherent, as we've said, instability in the clarinet sound that it brings into a fuzz. So that's been one of the interesting reasons to be able to play a lot with the EQ that we get with the modular fuzz pedals. So when a clarinet signal goes through a buffer before it goes into a fuzz, it doesn't suffer the same kind of coloring or changes that a guitar signal would. So that's our basic hypothesis of what we're working with here. We can have a buffer at the beginning, good to know. That should help things, help the signal move through the chain, especially when we start experimenting with longer signal chains. But for now, I think that that's what we've got to offer you today. Thank you very much for sticking around, and I hope this has been as interesting and enjoyable for you as it has been for us. And please join us again sometime. In the meantime, stay well.